Welcome to the deep dive. No fluff, just the facts.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're really diving deep into the world of heavy-duty trucks, HDTs.
Yep.
We're going to break down everything you need to know, like what these powerful machines actually are, their unique characteristics, and, the surprising stuff about owning and operating one. This all comes straight from an expert's really comprehensive rally presentation.
Yeah, and our mission here, it's pretty simple, really. We want to help you figure out if an HDT is, truly the right choice for you.
Right.
There's just so much information out there, a lot of noise.
For sure.
And we want to cut through that, show you what really sets these vehicles apart, the practical side of owning one, and, well, the real advantages and challenges.
Okay.
By the end of this deep dive, you should have a much clearer picture. I think you will.
Okay, let's unpack this then. Get to the core. What exactly is a heavy-duty truck?
So generally, we're talking about a Class 7 or Class 8 vehicle. And that classification, it really just boils down to the gross vehicle weight rating, the GVWR.
GVWR.
If it's 26,001 pounds or more, so you're thinking brands like Volvo, Kenworth, Freightliner, Mack, those big names.
And typically, before they get converted for RV use, they often have tandem rear axles, right? Two axles in the back.
Exactly, tandem rears. And they're really built for long hauls, which means they almost always include a sleeper cab, often called a condo, right behind the driver's seat.
Right, the condo. And that's a really crucial difference from what you call medium-duty trucks or MDTs.
Absolutely, a really key distinction. MDTs, they fall into Class 4, 5, or 6.
Okay.
So their GVWR is under 26,000 pounds.
Understood.
Think popular models like maybe a Ford F450, F550, F650, a Ram 5500, or like a Freightliner M2 106.
And those almost always have just a single rear axle.
Almost universally, yeah. Single rear axle, they often come with 4 doors, like a crew cab, pickup. And they're primarily designed for regional sort of daily use, not really intended for those cross-country trips with a built-in living space.
Okay, so to duly make this clear, let's compare two specific examples. On the MDT side, we often see that Freightliner M2 106, right, sometimes done up by Sport Chassis.
Yeah, that's a popular one.
And that truck is definitely under the 26,000-pound GVWR limit.
Correct.
Usually runs an 8.3-liter engine, putting out maybe 375 horsepower, 1050 torque.
Right around there.
Hooked up to an Allison 3200 TRV automatic 6-speed transmission.
Yep, a true automatic.
Often 4-door. And they're usually around, 23 to 24 feet long?
That's about right, yeah.
Now, in strict contrast, let's look at a Volvo 860. Maybe one converted by RVH Lifestyles.
Okay, big difference here.
This HDT is squarely over that 26,000 pounds GVWR.
Way over. It packs a significantly larger engine, typically a 13-liter.
13 liters.
Yeah, delivering 455 horsepower or even more, and a massive 1,850 pound-feet of torque.
Wow.
And that power, it's managed by Volvo's automated 12-speed I-shift transmission.
Hold on, you said automatic for the Freightliner, but automated 12-speed for the Volvo.
Yeah.
For someone driving one, what's the practical difference there? Does one feel smoother or?
That's a great question. And yeah, it's key to the driving experience. An automatic, like that Allison, you just put it in D and go, right, the truck does everything.
Simple enough.
The Volvo's I-Shift, though, it's an automated manual transmission. So technically, it still has gears and a clutch mechanism inside.
Okay.
But the truck handles all the shifting and the clutch engagement automatically. You don't have a clutch pedal.
So what does the driver feel?
What you'll notice is that the I-Shift is incredibly efficient and honestly very smooth for its type. It gives impressive fuel economy for such a heavy truck, and it's specifically designed for that really high torque the Volvo engine puts out.
Okay.
It might feel a little different from a car's automatic, maybe a slightly more noticeable shift sometimes, but it's exceptionally refined for heavy hauling.
Got it. Now here's where it gets really interesting, I think. It challenges that common idea people have. HDTs do not have to be these, monstrous semi-truck sized things.
Not at all.
The surprising truth is they can actually be quite compact. Even pickup size, configured to be shorter, more agile.
Yeah.
Almost like daily drivers.
Absolutely. That's a huge point. Take the Volvo VNR 400, for example.
Right.
It actually has a shorter 40-inch sleeper. Still packs that powerful D13 engine, 455 horse, 1850 torque, uses the same I-Shift automated transmission. But with its short wheelbase, it's really well suited to be a daily driver, yet it's still very much classified as an HDT.
Interesting.
And get this, the Volvo VNM 630, It has a bit bigger sleeper, 61 inches, also has a short wheelbase, totally usable as a daily driver. Its GVWR is actually only 19,500 pounds.
Wow, under the 26K limit.
Right, so this clearly proves that size isn't always the defining factor for an HDT classification. It's more about the heavy-duty components, the design, the intended use.
Okay, wow. So a D13 engine with 1850 torque. For someone listening, trying to imagine that, what does that power translate to? Like, when you're pulling a big RV up a steep hill or dealing with strong winds, how's that feel?
It feels effortless. It really does. Imagine towing a big fifth wheel, right? You hit a steep grade. In a pickup, even a heavy-duty one, you might feel that engine straining, downshifting a lot, your speed drops.
Yeah, you hear it working hard.
Exactly. With 1850 torque, an HDT just sort of eats that hill. It holds speed easily, you barely feel the transmission hunting for gears, and there's this incredible stability. Crosswinds that would seriously push a lighter truck around, and HDT barely notices them.
Right.
It's really about feeling completely in control, unstressed, no matter what you're hauling or what the conditions are like.
Yeah, that sounds pretty compelling. And just show the other extreme, you mentioned a Volvo 860 can stretch out to what, 41 feet long? With a 312-inch wheelbase.
Oh yeah, they can be massive if you need that space or capability.
So the clear takeaway is HDTs can be big, or they can be surprisingly compact. It really depends entirely on the specific configuration and your mission profile, right? What you plan to do with it.
Exactly. Your mission profile dictates everything. So moving into ownership, let's talk about the real-world pros and cons of actually having one of these beasts.
Okay, let's do it. The good stuff first.
Let's start with the pros. Safety is probably number one for most people.
Right.
You've got superior mass, obviously. Height gives you great visibility, much higher tow ratings, incredible braking power, and just better emergency handling compared to lighter trucks. Then there's flexibility. You can often carry additional vehicles, maybe a smart car, motorcycles on the back. You get substantial sleeper space, which can double as an office or even guest quarters sometimes.
When we talk safety, I hear that a lot. Is it just about being bigger and heavier, or are there specific features that make them genuinely more accident avoidant than, say, a one-ton dually pulling a big trailer?
It's definitely more than just mass, although mass certainly helps in a collision. But HDTs are built to totally different safety standards.
Okay.
They have much more robust braking systems designed for stopping, 80,000 pounds. Larger tires mean a better contact patch with the road. And that high driving position gives you a commanding view, letting you see problems developing way further ahead.
Right, you see over traffic.
Exactly. Plus, modern HDTs have really advanced active safety systems, collision avoidance, lane departure warnings, adaptive cruise control, all designed to prevent accidents before they happen.
Gotcha.
And don't underestimate the stability factor. It hugely reduces driver fatigue on long trips, and fatigue is a major cause of accidents.
That makes sense. Plus, you mentioned comfort. A smoother ride, way quieter inside the cab. That's huge on long days.
Oh, absolutely. Night and day difference compared to many pickups.
They pull basically any RV effortlessly, given that massive power we talked about.
Yeah, no worries there.
And they're built tough, right? Designed to outlast typical pickups by a huge margin.
Millions of miles, potentially. The core components are incredibly durable.
Service is generally easy to find, too, because of the commercial trucking network.
Yeah, that's a big plus. Service is available almost anywhere, and it's often fast because these trucks need to stay on the road for work.
And, okay, let's be honest, they just look cool. They have that wow factor.
They definitely turn heads, no doubt about it.
Okay, but now for the dose of reality. The cons.
Yeah.
What are the downsides?
All right, the cons. First off, cost. The initial purchase price is high, no getting around that. And you'll have ongoing maintenance expenses, which can be significant, especially on older trucks.
Right.
Their size, especially if you get one with a large sleeper, can just be cumbersome. It can lead to issues with daily driving, parking, and definitely challenges with storage if you live in an HOA or a tight community.
I can imagine HOAs not loving these.
Not typically, no. Legally, you'll often need a license upgrade depending on your state and the final weight.
Like a CDL or a non-commercial Class A or B.
Exactly. Varies by state. And you can run into overlength or width issues with your combined truck and trailer setup.
Okay.
Access can be tricky. Getting into and out of tight spaces, like some older campgrounds or smaller gas stations, requires planning.
Yeah. Definitely not zipping into any spot.
And finally, financing and insurance. They can be difficult to secure, definitely harder than for a car or pickup, and relatively expensive.
So when you weigh all that, the pros and the cons, What's the verdict?
The verdict is clear. An HDT is absolutely not for everyone.
Right.
You really have to weigh your needs. Sometimes, honestly, a big Class M motorhome actually makes more sense depending on your travel style and goals.
That's fair. So if someone is seriously considering an HDT, let's talk brands. You mentioned Volvo earlier. Why do they get highlighted so often in the RV hauler world?
Yeah. While there are several excellent manufacturers out there, Kenworth, Peterbilt, Freightliner, Volvo does get mentioned frequently for a few specific reasons, especially in the RV community. They're often credited with having the best automated transmission, that I-shift we discussed. It's really smooth and efficient. Their interiors are known for being exceptionally quiet, which adds a lot to driver comfort. And they generally offer a very good ride quality even before modifications.
Nice.
You also get a full-width body, which feels spacious, and often an integrated workstation built right into the dash or sleeper.
Handy.
Safety is a big focus for Volvo. They include a standard driver side airbag, which isn't universal in Class 8 trucks. Their cab is metal reinforced, designed specifically for passenger protection.
Okay.
And they have this design where the engine is engineered to actually go under the cab in a severe frontal collision rather than intruding into the passenger space.
Wow, that's significant.
It is. And for many drivers, especially those coming from cars or pickups, a Volvo often feels less truck-like, maybe a bit more refined and easier to handle.
Interesting. And for folks curious about identifying different Volvos, you mentioned generations.
Yeah, it helps to know the basic generations if you're looking at used trucks. Gen 1 was roughly 1996 to 2002. You can spot those by the distinct vertical grille bars.
Okay.
Gen 2 ran quite a long time, from about 2003 to 2018. Gen 3 started in 2019 and is the current style.
In Gen 4.
Gen 4 is kind of a subset, specifically the 860 and 840 models, which both feature large 74-inch sleepers. They're part of the Gen 3 platform, but represent the newest, largest sleeper options.
Got it. And you mentioned some size changes, like the 780 became the 860.
Right. The popular Gen 2 model, the VNL 780, essentially became the Gen 3 VNL 860. They kept the same large condo sleeper size.
Okay.
The biggest dimensional change was probably between the Gen 2 VNL 670 and the Gen 3 VNL 760. The 760 got noticeably bigger, about 5 inches wider, 9 inches longer inside the cab, and it features a 70-inch condo sleeper, replacing the 670's smaller one.
Good info for used truck buyers. So, okay, we've painted this picture of what these trucks are. Big, small, powerful, safe. But getting one isn't just like buying a car off the lot. There's this whole journey, right?
Oh, absolutely. It's a process.
Where do you even start thinking about the practical side of ownership?
That journey, it really starts long before you even pick out a specific truck. Number one, you absolutely have to understand your mission profile.
There's that phrase again.
It's critical. What exactly do you intend to use this HDT for? Towing a massive fifth wheel full-time, weekend trips, carrying a car, daily driving it? That dictates the size, the sleeper, the wheelbase, everything.
Makes sense. Define the job first. What else?
Licensing. You need to figure out the requirements in your specific state, your domicile. It can range from just needing your regular license to needing a non-commercial Class A or B or even a full CDL in some cases, depending on weight and use.
Okay, state dependent.
Very state dependent. Registration is another piece. Ideally, you want to register it as a motorhome if your state allows it. That often simplifies insurance and avoids some commercial regulations, but not all states make that easy or even possible.
Right. Then there's money. Financing.
Financing can be tricky. It's not a standard auto loan. You're often looking at a local bank or credit union where you have a relationship, maybe a home equity line of credit, or specialized online lenders like Lightstream.com who understand these kinds of purchases.
So fewer options than buying a car.
Definitely fewer. Insurance, similarly, can be challenging to find and relatively expensive compared to insuring a pickup. You need an agent who understands RV haulers.
Okay.
And always, always remember, older trucks will require more ongoing maintenance. It's just part of owning a complex machine with hundreds of thousands of miles on it, potentially. Factor that into your budget.
Good point. And then, of course, you actually have to find the truck and get it converted for RV use.
Right, finding the base truck and then the whole conversion process.
And that conversion you mentioned earlier, it's way more than just putting a bed on the back.
Oh, absolutely.
The hauler body itself might only be half the cost, or even less.
Easily, sometimes much less. The upfit involves so much more.
Like what else goes into it?
Well, first, you've often got initial repairs or cosmetic work needed on the used truck. You need to remove commercial stuff like the big fifth wheel plate, maybe side fairings if you don't want them.
Okay. Prepping the chassis?
Exactly. Then for towing an RV, you need specific mods. Suspension hitches are highly recommended, receiver hitches for bumper pull if needed, and often frame extensions to make room for the hauler body behind the cab or sleeper.
Frame extensions. That sounds serious.
It is. Needs to be done right. Then there's lighting and electrical. People love adding accent lights, those chicken lights along the bottom.
Oh, yeah, the chicken lights.
You'll likely want inverters to power 120V appliances inside, maybe cameras for visibility, and APUs are popular auxiliary power units.
Right, the small generators.
Basically, yeah, small diesel generators that power your climate control and outlets without idling the main engine. Saves a ton of fuel and engine wear when you're parked.
That makes a lot of sense. So much more than just the bed.
We're not done yet. You might add accessories like extra radios, maybe even appliances like a microwave or fridge, even a small sink in the sleeper if you're really customizing it.
Wow.
Inside the cabin sleeper, think about renovations, upgrading seats, adding proper seat belts if it was just a single driver truck, maybe adding windows to the sleeper, definitely insulation and soundproofing for comfort.
Insulation and soundproofing sound essential.
They make a huge difference. And then the exterior, maybe new mirrors, updating the grille or bumper, more lighting for safety and looks. It's a whole project, really custom tailored to what you need and want.
Okay, definitely a major undertaking. Now, a common thing people consider is singling the truck. Can you explain what that means and why someone would do it?
Sure. Singling just means removing one of the two rear drive axles from a tandem axle truck. So you go from having two powered axles at the back to just one.
Why do that? What are the pros?
There are several potential benefits. First, you gain more storage space on the truck bed, right over where that second axle used to be. You have less overall maintenance, one less axle, differential, brakes, etc.
Fewer moving parts.
Exactly. The truck can potentially be made shorter, which makes it easier to handle as a daily driver if you go that route. You have fewer tires to buy and maintain and check the pressure on.
Good point.
And often, owners report better traction with just one axle, especially with the right tires, and sometimes a smoother ride. Singled trucks can also be easier to resell specifically as an RV hauler, potentially easier to insure, and might even get slightly better fuel economy.
Okay, that sounds like a pretty strong case for singling.
Right.
What are the downsides, though?
There are definitely downsides. First is the cost you're looking at, maybe around $6,000, give or take, for the modification itself.
Not cheap.
Not cheap. And there's the hassle factor. You have to get the truck's computer reprogrammed to recognize the change, and there's always a risk of driveline vibration if the modification isn't done perfectly. You obviously have less total carrying capacity because you've removed an axle capable of carrying weight. And you technically have fewer brakes for fewer wheel brakes.
Does it mean less braking power?
Typically not less overall braking power. The remaining brakes are usually more than capable of handling the truck's weight when properly adjusted, especially since RV haulers are usually lighter than fully loaded commercial trucks. But it's technically fewer braking components.
Gotcha.
And lastly, for some people, it's just aesthetics. They prefer the look of the tandem axles.
Right, the classic big rig look. Okay, let's talk about the hauler bodies themselves. You need something on the back, right?
For most RV hauling mission profiles, yeah, a bed is pretty essential. It gives you that crucial storage space and the platform for your hitch.
These aren't cheap either, are they? Prices seem to be going up.
They are definitely rising. The range is huge. You could build a simple wood flatbed yourself for maybe $1,000 in materials if you're handy.
Okay, basic.
At the other end, you can easily spend $40,000 or even more for a complex, custom-built aluminum body designed to haul a smart car or a Jeep with integrated toolboxes, skirts, custom paint, the works.
40 grand for a bed. Wow. What's typical for, say, a smart car hauler?
A simple but functional smart car hauler bed, professionally built, probably falls in the $12,000 to $25,000 range these days.
Okay.
If you want that fully skirted, painted to match look with lots of built-in storage, you're likely looking at $35,000 plus.
And how long does it take to get one built?
Again, varies wildly. A basic DIY bed might be a weekend project. A complex custom bed from a pro builder could take 3 months or more from order to completion.
Wow.
A typical smart hauler bed from a builder probably takes realistically 1 to 2 months for the bed fabrication itself, not counting their backlog.
Can you build it yourself? Is that realistic?
Yeah. It's definitely feasible if you have the right skills, welding, fabrication, electrical, maybe the tools, the time, the willpower, and importantly, the physical space to do it. If you have all that, you could potentially save at least 50% of the cost compared to having it built.
Okay. So who actually builds these things?
Well, technically, any competent welding shop could fabricate a basic body. But the design and engineering, that's the hard part, especially for carrying cars or complex storage.
Right, getting the structure sound.
Exactly. For custom or one-off builds, you really need to know what you want and probably supervise the project closely. Most established HDT bed builders focus only on the beds. They don't typically offer a full turnkey truck conversion service. You usually bring them the truck.
So you manage the whole project.
Often, yes. Some well-known builders in the RV community include folks like Jesse Hall down in Lakeland, Florida. RVH Lifestyles out in Kansas does turnkey trucks and beds. Greg Shields up in Calgary. It's worth noting that Heron, who is a big name in Texas, is no longer building HDTs.
Good to know. Okay, this leads to a big question. New versus used HDTs. That investment decision seems huge.
It is a major decision, yeah. Let's look at how new prices have rocketed up. We can use a popular spec, like a Volvo 860 set up by RVH, as an example.
Okay.
Back in 2019, that truck was around $140,000.
Right.
By 2022, it jumped to $163,000, plus they added a $4,500 surcharge, so really $167,500.
Ouch.
In 2023, it shot past $205,000. And for 2024 models, it seems to have settled slightly, maybe around $196,000, but still a massive increase in just a few years.
That's incredible. Almost $200 for a new truck before any other conversion cost.
Exactly. So that obviously makes the used market look pretty attractive.
Right. So what does the used market look like?
A late model used truck, let's say a 2019 to 2023, will typically cost somewhere between $65,000 and $100,000.
Okay, significantly less.
But it'll likely have somewhere between 200,000 and 400,000 miles on it already, sometimes more.
That's a lot of miles, even for a big truck.
It is, but these engines are built for it.
Yep.
However, the older the truck, generally, the more you should budget for ongoing maintenance. That's just a fact.
Right. Things wear out.
Exactly. While the core engine, the block itself, can often run for 1,000,000 miles or more, many of the components around it don't last that long, especially things related to pollution control systems, DPF filters, SCR systems, sensors. Those can be frequent and expensive repairs on modern diesels.
The emissions stuff.
Yeah. For trucks with modern emissions systems, it's really wise to budget somewhere between, say, $0.50 and $0.65 per mile just for maintenance and potential repairs.
Per mile. That adds up incredibly fast.
It really does. It's a significant operating cost.
Can you get warranties on used trucks?
You can, yes. Even on trucks up to maybe 10 years old sometimes. And it's a big but. You have to read the fine print very carefully. They almost never cover everything and often specifically exclude those expensive emission system components.
Of course.
A good tip if you're buying used. Try to buy from another RVer if possible. Those trucks tend to be better cared for, maybe lower miles, and already set up for hauling compared to trucks coming out of hard commercial fleet service.
Good advice. So when does new start to make sense, despite the high cost?
If your plan is to keep the truck for a long time, say 10 years or more, then the higher initial cost of a new truck starts to look more reasonable. You get the latest tech, a full warranty period, and 0 miles. It also makes sense if you're specifically looking for very low mileage used trucks because those can be really hard to find and command a premium price anyway.
Okay. Any advice on investing in upgrades on older trucks, like those expensive beds?
Yeah, general advice is be cautious about over-investing in fancy bodies or major upgrades on older, high-mileage trucks. There seems to be a sort of sweet spot, maybe around the $100,000 to $120,000 total investment mark for a good used truck with a nice bed, where you can still expect to recoup a major part of your investment if you sell it within a reasonable time frame. Go much beyond that on an older chassis, and you might find it harder to get your money back out. The depreciation curve is steeper.
Gotcha. Don't put a $40 K bed on a $40 K truck with 800 K miles.
Probably not the wisest financial move, no.
Okay, let's shift gears to hitches. This seems absolutely critical for towing an RV with an HDT.
Crucial. Absolutely crucial. The hitch is the only connection between your very heavy truck and your very expensive trailer.
So what's the recommendation?
Highly, highly recommend a true suspension hitch. Something like an ET hitch or a trailer saver.
Why suspension?
Because the suspension on these HDTs, especially air ride, is designed for much heavier loads than an RV pin weight. It can be quite stiff. The suspension hitch isolates the trailer from the harshness of the truck suspension, absorbing road shock and jarring motions.
Okay.
It makes for a dramatically smoother ride inside the trailer, which protects the trailer's structure and contents, and it improves ride quality in the truck cab too. Don't believe anyone who tells you it doesn't matter. It absolutely does. It's a wise investment.
What if a full suspension hitch isn't possible for some reason? What's the next best thing?
A suspension pin box on the trailer, paired with a standard non-suspension hitch on the truck, is a decent second-best option.
Okay. Like what kind of pin boxes?
You see things like the Gen Y Torsion Flex pin box, which works pretty well, especially with lighter trailers, or the Reese Airborne Sidewinder, or the Moride cushioned pin box. They provide some level of shock absorption at the trailer end.
Better than nothing.
Much better than a rigid connection, yes. Now, what you generally want to avoid is using standard commercial fifth-wheel hitches for RVs.
Why is that? People do it.
Some do, yes, but it's generally not a good idea for most RVs. Many RV frames, especially lighter ones, are simply not built to handle the kind of direct, harsh shock loading that a commercial hitch transmits. They expect some cushioning.
Right, they might crack or fail.
Exactly. Plus, commercial hitches typically lack the sideways tilting articulation needed for an RV to move naturally behind the truck on uneven ground. The only real exception is a brand like Spacecraft.
Ah, Spacecraft RVs.
Yeah, they build their semi-trailers on incredibly robust industrial-grade frames, specifically designed to be pulled with standard commercial hitches. They're built like tanks, but for most conventional fifth wheels, you really want that suspension.
Okay, good to know. Now, a question that always comes up. Putting the hitch behind the rear axle. People worry about safety, leverage. What's the deal?
Yeah, that's a common one. And when you hear talk about the cantilever exceeding 6 feet, what does that mean?
Exactly. What is the cantilever and why is 6 feet the magic number?
Okay, the cantilever is simply how far the center of the hitch pin sits behind the center of the truck's rear axle, or the center point between tandem axles.
Okay, the overhang distance.
Right. And moving the hitch back behind the axle actually has several benefits. It frees up valuable deck space on the hauler body for storage or carrying a car. And in most setups, moving it back a reasonable distance has a negligible impact on unloading the front axle weight, not enough to cause steering issues. It can also improve maneuvering. The trailer reacts a bit quicker to turns, and it often tracks better in tight corners, following the truck more closely instead of cutting inside as much.
So why the concern about exceeding 6 feet?
Because once that cantilever distance gets really long, and 6 feet is kind of a general guideline, not a hard rule, the leverage effect does start to become significant. A very long cantilever can potentially unload the front axle too much, affecting steering and braking, and it puts more stress on the truck's frame behind the axle.
Oh.
It means you need much more careful calculations and potentially frame reinforcements to ensure it's safe and handles properly. Shorter is generally simpler and less problematic.
Got it. And what about sway? Do suspension hitches affect trailer sway?
Suspension hitches themselves don't really cause or prevent sway. They're designed to allow the trailer to articulate and behave naturally while absorbing vertical shocks. Sway is almost always a function of the trailer's inherent design and how it's loaded, its weight, and balance.
Okay. So what causes sway then?
You typically see sway issues in trailers with very light pin weights, meaning not enough weight is pressing down on the hitch, often because the trailer axles are too far forward. Or conversely, trailers that are very heavily loaded in the rear, like some toy haulers with the garage full, or rear kitchen models, that can make the trailer pendulum. It's really about proper loading and trailer design.
Understood. It's not the hitch's fault, usually.
Not usually, no. The hitch just lets the trailer do what it's going to do, but more smoothly.
Okay, last big topic. Living with an HDT. What about campgrounds? That seems like a potential challenge.
It definitely requires more planning. You will almost always need big rig-friendly sites. And even then, there might be restrictions.
Like length limits.
Length limits, sometimes specific site types. And critically, you may not always be able to keep the truck parked on your campsite with the trailer. Some parks have separate overflow parking for tow vehicles, especially large ones.
Ah, so you might have to park the truck elsewhere.
You might, so you absolutely have to do your homework before you arrive.
That seems crucial. You can't just roll up and expect a spot to fit, right?
It's definitely not recommended. Use online resources.
Yeah.
There are specific guides like the HDT campground guide, websites that list big rig friendly campgrounds, and tools like Google Maps, Satellite View, or Google Earth are invaluable. You can actually look at the campground layout, see the site sizes, check the access roads for tight turns or low branches.
Smart. Scout it out digitally first.
Absolutely. Planning is totally key to avoiding stressful arrival situations. I imagine just parking one of these things at a typical grocery store must be an adventure sometimes, right? Try and find a spot, huh? It definitely can be. You quickly learn to love wide-open parking lots and backing into pull-through spots. You plan your errands around truck accessibility. It adds a whole new layer to just running to the store.
I bet. So, okay, as we wrap up this deep dive, we've really covered a lot of ground.
We sure have.
From defining what HDTs are, and that surprising range in size.
Right, big or small.
To the significant advantages they offer in safety, power, comfort, but also facing the clear realities of ownership, the cost, the size, the legalities, the maintenance.
Yeah, a whole picture.
It seems really evident that owning an HDT isn't just about buying a bigger truck. It's truly a lifestyle choice with unique considerations that go way beyond just the vehicle itself.
Couldn't agree more. It really enables a specific kind of travel, a certain kind of living on the road, if that's what you're after.
So, as you, the listener, consider all this, the immense power, the surprising comfort, the incredible flexibility an HDT can offer. And when you think about this, in a world that seems increasingly focused on, efficiency and minimalism, what deeper desire does a vehicle of this scale really fulfill for someone?
Interesting question.
And what unique adventures does it truly unlock for those who are willing to embrace its very distinctive demands? Something to ponder.
Definitely something to think about. It's not just transport, it's an enabler.